Hi everyone, Dogthany Bite Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review, a critique, and assessment of the new Weeknd movie, Hurry Up Tomorrow. Yes, I am talking about internationally known and beloved pop and R&B icon Abel Tesfaye, aka The Weeknd, and this new movie that he is in has masterminded that is titled after his latest full-length LP. I love that record and think pretty highly of it. Even if it is a very lengthy, demanding project, I think it's really one of Abel's best so far and is packed with some of the best songwriting and production of his entire career. I think one of the things that makes this album cycle special for Abel is just the immense ambition that seemingly is going into every element of it, because not only did this new album sound and run as if it were the album equivalent of a movie. I mean, it is about 90 minutes in length after all. But Abel has also gone through the effort to actually create a movie, a literal movie out of this era of his career. If you're a Weeknd fan, even a casual one, you know this is not Abel's first foray into movies and acting. You've obviously got soundtrack tie-ins like 50 Shades of Grey, also Uncut Gems, that series that he had on HBO that was Flop McFlopperson. I mean, in his albums and in his music career, it's very clear that the medium of film is a huge point of inspiration for Abel, and I love the way that manifests in his albums. But being able to showcase the same level of talent and skill when it comes to actually executing the literal art form of film or acting, that kind of continues to elude him. And I would say that is also the case for Hurry Up Tomorrow, which, I'm going to be frank, it is like one of the worst movie experiences I've had in the past several years. I should also mention that the theater I saw this film in was completely and utterly empty. It was a bit of like a late showing, 9 o'clock or so, but you would expect for a film associated with one of the biggest music artists of our modern era, there would be more people showing up to see this, at least maybe even be a little bit curious about it. So far, the box office numbers have been pretty bad. This film is so drawn out, boring, uneventful, and frankly cringe at points. It's kind of difficult to put into words or even know where to start because it's just so painfully devoid of anything substantive or meaningful. And what things there are in the film that actually do maybe resonate a bit with me emotionally, I feel like I could have already gotten that from Abel's music, and getting it from this movie just seems like I don't need it. It's a waste. One thing I will say about this movie is that in a few scenes, there are some interesting visuals, like during one of the live music performances, or like, one of the big party benders Abel's on, some of the weird, more surreal and freaky and scary moments of the film where you're kind of getting some very eerie stuff going on. A creepy girl in a tunnel. One moment in the film where Abel is literally like replaying a moment on the record where he's like describing having like this near-death experience, almost drowning in a bathtub. So yeah, there are a few genuinely freaky moments of the movie here and there visually. Another compliment I could give the movie is that, again, there are a lot of narrative and conceptual parallels with the Hurry Up Tomorrow album. And I do sort of appreciate that synergy. But with that being said, this movie is so vapid and devoid of like anything truly deep or interesting. I feel like the only reason this film exists is just for it to be this massive ego trip for Abel, for him to essentially spend 100 minutes making us watch him sniff his own farts. Now, look, I'm not going to come on here and say like, Abel as an artist is terrible and trash and awful, like he doesn't deserve his flowers. He most certainly does. I mean, I've praised his music, especially as of late on the channel with his recent releases. I think he's a talented singer, a talented songwriter. Abel's abilities and talent are very clear, are not really debatable, which is why a movie that exists just to suck his dick is unnecessary. Like, there's so many lines and scenes in this movie, like one with Abel's friend and manager in the film, who's played by Barry Keoghan, where he's constantly hyping him up to a level where he's just like, overselling him a bit. Oh man, you're not even human. You're a god. You make them feel. Do you hear that crowd out there just roaring and cheering? That's for you. That's for you. You've got to get out there and perform for the people. They love you. They love you so much. You make them feel. You make them feel. Like, please stop. This is too goddamn much. Stop. And I will get into the ways in which Jenna Ortega's character basically is a vehicle to sell us this same narrative. But first, I want to say what this movie is trying to be. It's not actually this, but what it's trying to be in a way is like this sad anti-hero's journey, a traumatic experience with an eventual lesson learned, but it fails at actually achieving that on so many levels. I should specify in this movie, Abel is like, he's just playing himself. He's just playing him. It's everyone else in the movie that's pretending to be people other than themselves. So Abel is himself in the movie, and the driver of the film is this idea that Abel is like a bad guy. He's a bad man, which if you've listened to or enjoyed any Weeknd songs over the course of his career, you probably know what the angle of that badness is. Oh, he likes to party like crazy, and he does lots of drugs, and he's also really bad with women. Those are exactly the things this film uses to kind of continue to paint Abel as a bad guy. However, we never see a point in the movie where Abel is being like truly evil, or I would say even like sadistic, or anything like that. There's not even a point, I would say, with the drugs where he's like really hitting rock bottom. That's not to say in the film it doesn't seem like he has a drug problem. Most certainly he does. But like in part, the pressure to sort of like stay on this track of addiction feels in the film less on his shoulders and more due to the world around him. Like Barry's character, who I was mentioning earlier, in a lot of respects kind of seems like his enabler. So there's never a point in this respect where we see Abel really fighting with his problem or taking full ownership over how bad it's gotten. And as far as like, him being bad with women goes, this is also an issue the film doesn't really explore all that deeply outside of showcasing that, he's kind of hung up over this girl who we never see shots or sort of context for their relationship or why it went south in the way that it did. We don't even know how it went south. All we know is through most of the film, he's trying to like call her and get her on the phone and text her and get her to contact him, and she won't call him back, and it's driving him crazy. And while, yes, it is true that Abel does come across quite toxic at a few moments of the film, like in one where he's like chewing this girl out over a voicemail, and he throws his phone, and he's so upset that he's been abandoned. Mommy, why did you leave me? So he's just really hung up over this relationship that he cannot get back. So enter in who is essentially Abel's manic pixie nightmare girl, Jenna Ortega, who I think also serves as another vehicle to just kind of give Abel this massive ego trip, because not only are you writing one of the most in-demand and popular actresses in the industry today to just be totally obsessed with you for pretty much no reason. Right after watching you flop on stage during a live performance, she literally like hunts him down to see him after he messes up on stage. They instantly fall for each other, and she's, not just like obsessed with him, but also obsessed with his art and his music. In fact, there's a painfully awkward part, which I feel like Jenna Ortega deserves an Oscar for this, because I don't know if there's another actress who could have pulled this off, but Abel is literally sitting across from her in a hotel room, and he's like, "You want to hear something?" And then he proceeds to play her a demo of a song from his phone, which you would think on some level, with Abel being like, a music megastar, maybe would make like that scenario less awkward and terrible to sit through, but it doesn't. You could be the biggest music star in the world, but playing groupies demos off your phone in a hotel room after you brought them there is still cringe. From here, the movie pretty much goes into crazy, cuckoo, wah 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 land, which, let me say, up to this point, it's been pretty dreadfully boring. You would think maybe like a very chaotic and eventful final leg for such a film would actually make it worthwhile and interesting. But in fact, it doesn't. It just sort of seems like the movie goes sort of nuts with no real purpose or true message in sight, as the entire thing sort of devolves into this complete ripoff of films and film adaptations such as Misery, as well as American Psycho, because after their, little chance meeting in a hotel room, Abel decides, hey, I gotta go do the rest of my tour. See you later. I'm peacing out. Jenna Ortega starts freaking out. This leads to her assaulting him and pretty much tying him to the bed and holding him hostage in the hotel room. And she's basically holding him captive until he tells her the truth. I mean, yes, it is clear that the movie is very much about like these demons in Abel's life and head that he's not really addressing or dealing with in any way, and that he actually needs to do that in order to truly find love and stability. But like compartmentalizing that into Jenna Ortega holding him captive and saying, you have to tell me the truth, is just awful writing. Abel essentially reacts to her like she's crazy and that he doesn't know what to say or how to respond to this. Jenna starts essentially interrogating him using his music, again, American Psycho style, playing it off like a Bluetooth speaker and then going over the songs, reviewing them, assessing their lyrical content, and really sussing out the deeper meaning of all these tracks. But what's hilarious about this scene is not only does it last way too goddamn long and just pretty much serves as an excuse to put more of Abel's music in the film, but also the stuff Jenna Ortega is describing about the lyrics and the meaning of these tracks. These things are not subtext. These things are the text. Like, Jenna Ortega's character is not unlocking the fucking Da Vinci Code, looking at Abel's songs, being like, oh, this song's about sadness and separation and isolation. Like, girl, we know, like, these are not hidden characteristics of Abel's music that, like, nobody's getting. I mean, sure, Abel has been writing music as of late that goes in more of just a general pop direction, and he has lots of songs under his belt that have reached a level of casual popularity that, sure, there's likely lots of people hearing these tracks, listening to them, enjoying them idly, and not really thinking about what they're about. But, like, that level of unfamiliarity or lack of understanding can really only come with maybe having heard a few Weeknd songs in passing or having just a few Weeknd songs in a playlist that you come back to again and again on a regular basis, and that's it. Like, if you've ever heard one single Weeknd album from front to back, you know what this man is about thematically. He has made the drugs and the sex and the bad relationships and the toxic behavior his entire brand for over a decade now. Again, these things that are being described are not hidden gems in the Weeknd's lyrics. And the tracks she brings up to illustrate these points are like not even really deep cuts. Like, are you even a fan? In fact, one hilarious part about this scene is that I feel like it's also used to illustrate Abel's dissatisfaction with the fact that the song Gasoline maybe didn't pop off commercially in the way that he wanted to, because Jenna's like playing it and calling it kind of a flop, but also like describing it as a track that, like, you don't really get unless you're like really a Weeknd fan. It's like, oh man, it's for the true Weeknd fans. It's like way too weird and out there for people to get. When, like, I don't know, maybe people just don't like the way his vocals sound weird on that song. Maybe that, like, that's it. So yeah, we have to sit through Jenna Ortega dancing and lip syncing to Abel's songs and also explaining to us how deep they are, even though she's just describing the stuff that is very obviously like what they're about. She essentially puts Abel in this life or death choice where he has to tell the truth and be truthful and be honest and communicate with her, or just burn to ash. Big moment of the film, the big realization here. Abel cannot tell the truth. He is not capable. He cannot be a truthful guy, at least like in a direct communication sense. So what he does instead is he sings the truth and does a lengthy close-up shot in his face, a cappella performance of a track that frankly I love from his newest record that he just ruins. I will forever associate it with this awful scene now. He's like, I'm sorry. The honesty he's showcasing here essentially moves Jenna Ortega to free him. And then immediately after, he leaves the hotel room, and as he's walking, he just appears back in the green room that the whole movie fucking started in, making it clear that Jenna Ortega and this whole experience was just a figment of his goddamn imagination. She's like his Tyler Durden, which is just such a weird twist for this movie to take, because who or what was Jenna Ortega supposed to be? Is she just like his imagined love interest? Is she actually him, with the way that she sort of describes how she identifies with the music that he plays her? Is she mommy? Because it becomes clear that there's like, you know, really a weird codependent thing going on with Abel's relationships that she sort of fills for a moment. It's hard to put into words just how silly the ending of this movie is. And again, the only reason this film exists is just to jerk Abel off. I'm sorry. Sounds terrible to put it that way, but it is genuinely just an ego trip. And like, I don't want to step on or prevent the man's creativity or anything like that. But like, once again, we have been shown that film, acting, it's just not his strong suit. And I don't know, maybe that'll change at some point in the future, but this film is not giving me any hope. So yeah, had an awful time watching this movie. I recommend that you don't waste your time unless maybe you want to get together with a few people and have a giggle, but it's pretty awful. It's pretty bad. If you've seen this movie, let me know what you think down in the comments. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, The Weeknd, forever.